Just waiting for people to get in. What's going on? How's it going? Thanks for joining. What's going on, crew? I gotta figure out how to wave.
Alexa, turn on workout lights.
It's actually good lighting. It's good. It's pretty bright.
What's going on? Thanks for joining. Candy, good to see you. Got first question. Hope y'all are having a great day. Enjoying some nice sun. It's cold where we are here in Virginia.
Yep. Can we even hear anything? Nice. Okay.
We'll wait for a few more people. If you got any questions, feel free to shoot them in the comment section below. Harrisonburg, very nice.
Oh, nice.
My brother went to school down at JMU.
So, what a question are we starting with first?
Yeah, first one, it's from Candy. She's actually in the chat.
Yeah.
Effects of long-term exposure to heightened elevated cortisol levels due to ongoing or unmanaged stress. What are the effects of chronically being stressed?
Well, I think stress is the most important thing, so we definitely want to mitigate it as much as we can because things like canola oil, everyone focuses on that, and that's important. PUFAs, that's great, but if you want to look at the big picture, you got to look at stress and what's triggering that cortisol response. That's what's really going to change your life and change your health for the better, because when you're dealing with cortisol all day, that's just an inflammatory response. And then you got adrenaline as well, like we talked about yesterday. So long-term effects, adrenal fatigue. Eventually you start eating away at your adrenals. You start consuming your own body. A lot of people are into this autophagy, and that's great, but if the cell's suffocated, we need to be eradicating that, whatever's suffocating the cell, and we got to be able to nourish the cell, get oxygen into the cell. So I think autophagy and intermittent fasting is kind of just beating around the bush. We don't completely rule out anything. Just in today's modern world, like I said, we keep getting this question about intermittent fasting. We just want to, we don't think it's important right now.
Yeah, there's bigger things to be focusing on, like, you know, if we're trying to reduce ultimate stress, think of stuff that's human needs. We need water, we need clean air, we need good food. So looking at your water quality, I would say, is a top priority to, you know, focus on reducing stress, because stress continuing going on can create some symptoms, whether it's inflammation, arthritis, Lyme disease. There's so many symptoms that can be attributed to elevated stress hormones. And this is a lot of the work out of, you know, Dr. Ray Peat, Hans Selye, Rhoda Barnes. They all have great information on, you know, these diseases being synonymous with elevated stress hormones, gut issues. It all relates back to an energy deficiency. So you said, do deadlifts hurt the spine?
Yes.
You may feel, I mean, I deadlifted for a while. I deadlifted, not to toot my own horn, but Nick did more than me. I deadlifted 545 pounds at 175. That was my body weight. And, you know, you think you can get away with it when you're young. I know I did, at least, because you're very resilient when you're young and you don't have a lot of stress in your life. But deadlifts, they don't really relate to how the human body moves on 2 feet. They keep you in a very rigid plane of motion called the sagittal plane. So,
And it's this simple, guys. Look at the conventional deadlifts that we're taught. It's with a barbell. It's very unnatural. You're not going to ever find a barbell in nature. So if you're trying to instill a hip hinged movement, I'd really recommend single arm kettlebell swings way before deadlifts. I think they outweigh them in every respect. We're trying to also create unilateral movements, reciprocation with the torso and the hips. And the thing is, when you start putting all that weight and all that compression into your rib cage, you're just gluing everything up more. We can go into it a little bit deeper, but honestly, we don't recommend deadlifts.
Yeah, it's just again, it's in one plane of motion, and the human body moves in a 4-dimensional plane, all planes together. So it gets you very confined. I mean, you got to think a deadlift is a vertical motion. If I'm just picking something up off the ground, that's a vertical plane of motion. When everything we do as humans is horizontal, if that makes sense. When we walk in a horizontal plane. Now, most people walking nowadays, they're bouncing up and down as they walk, and that creates a lot of issues. What water is the best? Reverse osmosis, question mark?
I think so. I think reverse osmosis is the best. I have a distiller. I've used that for years. I think they're both good. I know a lot of people say that the distiller is negatively charged, so apparently it pulls out certain toxins. A lot of toxins are positively charged in the body, but they also do say, I used to not believe it, but I think it does leach a lot of minerals as well, apparently. So I highly recommend reverse osmosis. He has the Omega.
Yeah.
I know everyone's in the pristine hydro, and then just put some magnesium bicarbonate in it, and you should be good.
I guess it really depends on where you're at too. What kind of water are you currently drinking? So, I mean, if you're drinking tap water, then maybe try to go get some reverse osmosis at a local health food store. That's what I always recommend to clients, is just try to optimize for wherever you're at. And of course, keep a low parts per million or a low TDS, low total dissolved solids, and you can make your own magnesium bicarbonate, like Nick said, and add it in. That's a great way. Again, your cells, your mitochondria make water, so I would focus on getting hydration and nutrients together. So like milk, orange juice, bone broth is a great source of hydration as well as nutrients together.
And if you guys are experiencing any type of fatigue, I did distilled water for quite a bit. What sold me on it was that one podcast. I can't remember. You can probably look them up on YouTube. He also promoted a lot of urine therapy when I was vegetarian. I did that crap too. If you're dealing with a mineral deficiency, I would completely stay away from distilled water, because that's what happened to me. My fatigue never got better until I started really mega dosing the minerals with shilajit, with liver, with collagen, with bone broth, animal foods, as much as stuff I could get my hands on. And then obviously deep sea salts, I definitely recommend that still if you really need the extra boost. But honestly, I think if you just mega dose shilajit, you should be pretty good.
Do they pull nutrients? Reverse osmosis, yeah, it turns everything. The one I have, the Omega, they're third party lab tested. They say they do add some minerals back in, but I focus on my minerals from food and from real food and nutrients and shilajit, stuff like that. I don't really focus on getting nutrients from water. It's more of, again, if you're more active too. If you're more active, you got a manual labor job, maybe you do need to drink a little bit more water. And Ray Peat talks about it. You know, it's like if you're in the sun all day sweating, you could be drinking a ton of water and not even peeing because you're sweating it out.
Mm-hmm.
So for someone who's sitting indoors, we work with a lot of high-level executives that are inside all day, 9 to 5s. They're just sitting doing nothing. I don't think you should be drinking that much water, in my opinion. So it relates to your lifestyle as well. You got to look at that.
Yes, primal eating. I agree. I don't really drink much water anymore. I used to drink 1 to 2 gallons a day.
Gosh.
Not only was the quality of the water bad, but I never got hydrated. It got to the point where I was almost getting kidney stones. It was inflammatory. It was just clogged up, and I didn't pass kidney stone, but I sure as hell felt like I was about to. My kidneys were about to explode. Himalayan salt. I completely do not recommend that at all, because it's basically it's rock salt, and it's basically 100 times bigger than your cell, so there's no way that's actually getting into your cell. It's inorganic minerals. I highly recommend Celtic sea salt. I guess Redmond's clay salt is pretty good.
Redmond sea salt, any Icelandic sea salt,
Yeah.
I think are better priority than Himalayan.
Big
'Cause
difference.
I was on Himalayan for a while, and it just
Doesn't do
when
much.
you go to something, when you try something else and you see a benefit from it, you don't really go back to that old habit you were doing. But you got to be willing to try new stuff and eliminate some of these habits. But as far as the water, yeah, I used to drink almost 2 gallons a day. We wrote a blog post on what's up, Jared? On water quality on our blog post. So go check that out. I give you can type in your zip code to the EWG website, and it'll show you what's in your water supply local to you. And I used to drink 2 gallons a day when I was a bodybuilder, and you're constantly peeing. So if you're going to the bathroom in the middle of the night, that could be a sign of excess water intake, and you're just overstressing your kidneys. you're creating imbalances in your electrolytes, especially if you're peeing clear, which is not really a good sign when most people think peeing clear is beneficial.
Hard gainer.
I'm a hard gainer similar to Matt, but even skinnier. How do I gain if my metabolism is super fast?
I mean, here's the thing. I'm gonna actually do a post on a Conscious Lift about this, but we might as well start talking about this now. I think you should just do the same protocols that we would do for any repeat diet. Remember, it's a lifestyle. You don't want to do anything particular, but just track your calories if you really want to be serious about it, and start gradually adding more calories as time goes on. Meaning maybe start with a 250 calorie surplus per month, see how you respond, add a little bit of fat, mess around with it. I would say still keep the carbohydrates about 50%, 30% protein, 20% fat. If you can get away with a little bit more fat, go for it. Make sure that your fat's obviously coming from saturated fat, good quality carbs. I would also stick to, you gotta remember carbs are protein sparing, so I would stick with potatoes, whites, organic, obviously local preferably, and then white rice, non-fortified organic. If you really wanna get some bulking in there, add that in.
No, keep asking the questions. We
no
appreciate
worries.
it.
This is our job.
All the questions. we enjoy it.
If we don't have questions, it's boring, and you guys are
Yeah.
just gonna leave. So we need you. We need you to ask questions.
Yeah, and it's Candy. It's Celtic with a C, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah. So how do you track? Get an app like Chronometer, or MyFitnessPal. Those are really easy to use, and just put your food in. It's not going to be accurate, and definitely don't listen to the minerals and the vitamins they provide. It's all bullcrap.
The RDAs that they give nowadays are for people who are sick and about to die. So the RDAs on these apps from FitnessPal, again, don't get too heady with being like, oh, I hit my RDA, I'm good. No, those RDAs are actually are made for people that are just on that border of death, basically. If I mix milk of magnesia and carbonated water, is that good?
No.
It's
a waste.
I've heard it's not.
It doesn't actually convert to magnesium bicarbonate. It's not as bioavailable. So the hydroxide is very important with the CO2. Hydroxide is obviously, when you convert it with CO2, it turns to bicarbonate. That's 80% absorbable. I don't think the milk of magnesia is effective at all. A lot of people are promoting that on YouTube. I would stay away from it. Don't even waste your time.
Yeah, we use magnesium hydroxide, and of course carbonate the water. Very good is important too. So you create that chemical reaction, so you can get that bicarbonate form. Awesome, thanks guys. Like associated with Ireland.
Celtic, I guess so.
Yeah.
The Celtics.
Yep.
I thought it was like in France or something. French. Download your mobility and start some free points last time.
On Insta, you show releasing bottom of the feet with lacrosse ball. What do you say, Frank?
Oh yeah. I mean, remember, take this with a grain of salt. But at the same time, yes, I think 5 to 10 minutes is the new standard, at least for my clients and myself.
Oh, yeah.
You guys as well. I notice when I do just one night of that body part, it's almost released for the entire week, and it's hydrated, much more hydrated. So I would definitely recommend 5 to 10 minutes. Depends how painful it is, and you're gonna find a lot of pain in the foot. So go for it.
And I have a video, Will, of me actually doing. I haven't put it up yet, but I have a video of me doing the bottom of the feet with 2 lacrosse balls on the bottom of the feet at the same time. That's more intense if you really want to start to get to the deep, because you're putting your whole body weight on those lacrosse balls. So you can start with 1 lacrosse ball on the bottom of your feet, but if you really want to take it up a notch, I do too. I'll put up a video of that. I actually have it on my camera roll, so we can take a look at that. How much carbs do you guys?
Carbs.
How much carbs do you guys have in a day? My normal intake is about 2 cups of milk with maple syrup.
I don't really go by grams anymore. It's too complex. So I just say keep it simple. Get your app. Get the Chronometer app. Get the MyFitnessPal app. Look for the percentages. So yes, we're trying to get 50% carbs, but how many calories are you getting? That's what you got to figure out first. That's why I said I can't really help you with your weight gain unless you track your calories and get into a surplus. Make sure your protein's up enough. Make sure the carbs are up enough. That's all you need to focus on.
I would say, as far as carbs, I don't really.
I go for a 5-pound bag of potatoes a day. Go for that. If you want to bulk.
I don't really track carbs, but I probably say somewhere around the 250, 300 grams on days I'm more active, or I got a longer day, it's probably more. I got a fast metabolism. I've always had a fast metabolism until I did veganism and all these crazy diets. But you could. It all depends what your lifestyle and your stress is. If you got high stress levels, those carbs maybe be converting into fat. So
Really quick too.
it's there's a lot of context here. I saw in your videos saying that magnesium is a good supplement or something to be aware of. Therefore, what foods are best to help increase magnesium intake? If you read the blog post, Candy, I talk about how only about 10 to 20% of your magnesium is going to come from foods. Because nowadays our food that's grown, it's grown in soils that's depleted. Not only is it depleted, but it's toxic. Even if it's organic, even if it says organic, these foods are grown in 3 different types of fertilizers, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. That's not how nature intended to grow food, because we're doing food production on a mass scale nowadays, especially in the US.
And honestly, this is why vegetarian veganism doesn't work in our opinion, because the soil is just so depleted. There's no fungus anymore, there's no B12, there's no minerals, nothing. So
yeah, magnesium is going to be, okay, so let's answer the question. Foods, well-cooked well-cooked vegetables in like a broth.
Mm-hmm.
Well-cooked veggies is where you're going to get magnesium. Coffee, good sourcing of coffee. Dark chocolate, good sourcing. Trying to get dark chocolate without the added polyunsaturated fats, so try to get more saturated fat. And
at least get the spray and start spraying yourself.
Licorice root. Licorice root is another great source of magnesium. You can find that, make a tea out of it. Of course, try to have good quality water if you're doing coffee or tea. That's another issue we see a lot of people do, is they're drinking Starbucks coffee or they're drinking Keurig water crap coffee. It's just, why not continue to optimize what you're doing? Just little steps can make such a big difference. Is there some sort of minimum carbs and fat women should eat daily? That's kind of a general question, but thanks. So about 50% carbs should be good. It all depends.
Yeah, I'd say play around with it. I mean, like I said, we've tried so many different things. We really don't want to get you guys locked into a box. We just want to give you very, not general guidelines, but yes, foundational guidelines. So as far as that goes, I'd say, yeah, sure, go for maybe 40% carbs and maybe 30% fat. Would that be 30% protein? Yeah, maybe try that. Experiment with it.
And eat and focus on carbs that are easy to digest. Most people we work with as well, they're eating carbs that are the complex, the resistant starches, the beans, the legumes, the breads, the pastas, the rices. Not saying those carbs are inherently bad, but we like to focus on carbs that are easy to digest. Maple syrup, honey, milk, fresh juice, well-cooked potatoes, carrots, beets, stuff like that.
God. Vitamin A toxicity.
Any thoughts on vitamin A toxicity with too much liver?
It is a bioavailable form of vitamin E, but
Yeah.
also, I'd say just keep it, if you're worried about that, maybe 3 times a week, twice a week, maybe even once, see how you feel. I'm not too worried about that. I'm more worried about the beta carotene and the synthetic vitamin A that's found in a lot of foods, so you should be pretty good.
Just watch out for that palmitate form too. I know that can be toxic, but as far as from a good sourcing liver, if you're getting it straight from the farm, I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. And listen to your body. Your body will tell you. If you're craving foods that have rich in vitamin A, then eat them. But if you feel like you don't need it, then try it out. See how you feel.
Plus, it's a food. We're trying to get back to just foods, real foods, not worrying about the vitamin content as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, in today's world, we do kind of have to worry about that. So, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. So, running, long distance.
I really enjoy running, not super long distance.
Shorter runs.
More shorter runs. Do you think running is detrimental to your health, or is it okay if you're on magnesium, Shilajit, etc.? Long context again. If you're doing a long distance run in the city with a bunch of car exhaust, yeah, that's going to be inherently toxic as hell. So it really all depends on. It goes back to that stress. How's your stress levels? What other stresses do you have in your life?
Is it causing you to be more stressed?
Yeah. Can your body actually come back to a relaxed state after you run? Or are you constantly mouth breathing for the next 2-3 hours after that run?
And that's why we recommend functional patterns a lot, because how you run is just as important.
Very true.
When you run, how long you run, whatever.
But yeah, we both do shorter runs. I don't do long distance.
More into sprints and stuff
I
like
focus
that.
on, we get ourselves and clients on video. We watch our gait cycle of how we run, and we analyze it, and we go back into doing corrective exercises, breathing techniques, posture, movements to kind of build a strong foundation, and then go hit the sprint again. Is it a good idea to supplement niacinamide? Go ahead, Nick.
I think niacinamide is one of my favorite supplements of all time, just because my sugar metabolism was wrecked, and as I transitioned back into sugar, I was scared because I was crashing all the time. I had to sleep for 2 hours after sugar, whether it was dates, bananas. The only thing I could digest was, yes, potatoes, complex carbs, but I wanted fruit. I craved it, but I couldn't digest it. So niacinamide was the one main thing, other than the foundational food habits, that really helped fix my sugar metabolism. And to be honest, I really think it helped my pancreas a lot because I don't crash ever. No matter how much sugar I have now, of course I fixed my habits. I'm having carb and protein with every meal. That's another big one. Eating early.
Yeah.
Not having the intermittent fasting where you're having this huge smoothie of 3,000 calories and
All at
500
once.
grams of sugar. Just that's part of the
Yeah.
reason. But yes, if you're especially if you're transitioning, remember niacinamide is what shuttles that sugar into the cell. And if you can't get that sugar into the cell, insulin's going to keep being triggered consistently. And then what happens? All your enzymes in your pancreas is just going to be depleted.
I know you're big on organic whole milk. What are your thoughts on oat milk and coffee?
One thing, oat milk has a lot of these synthetic milks. I call them synthetic, but alternative milks. They
20 plus ingredient milks.
Yeah, vitamin B12. They got the vitamin A.
It's just a bunch of added crap that's in plastic. But
I think the only thing I could recommend alternative, I'm trying to think, if you could make like your own coconut
Yeah.
cream milk or something like that, that would be
milk,
ideal.
Saturated fat.
I know Agenus, if you ever follow him, he's really big into the coconut cream. You can take coconut and juice it, or I guess just get a canned coconut cream. That wouldn't be too bad an idea.
And Jason, even like skim milk. I switched over to skim milk recently because I was drinking a lot of whole fat milk for a while, and I was like, I want to switch to skim. I wanted to reduce my fat intake to kind of see how I felt, see if there was any difference. So play around with it. If y'all are local and want good sourcing foods, check out my blog post of sourcing foods properly. We're part of a milk share, cow share, that they ship down food from Pennsylvania, and it's the most nutrient-dense, fresh food you'll ever get. It touches one person.
The sourcing is key, guys.
It's incredible.
Game changer.
Y'all at it again. Awesome. How much sleep recovery time do you guys have after your workouts?
Recovery, how much sleep/recovery time?
Sleep, I think as far as sleep, I focus more on quality. Uninterrupted 7 to 9 hours of sleep is what I recommend. I get anywhere from 7 to 9 hours. Some days it's 7. Most days it's 8. Sometimes it's 9 for me. And it's in an environment where my body can recover. There's a lot of things that go into sleep. If you guys want more details, feel free to ask. But recovery time after a workout, I would, if you feel like you're mouth breathing after a workout, lie down, relax, and do some sort of slower breathing tempos. Slow it down.
In our program, we go into a lot of recovery techniques. It's the CO2 breathing. You got to have the magnesium bicarbonate, of course, where we talk about all that stuff. You got to learn how to feel your body. If you are really sore the next day, it might not be a good idea to work out. You might need to just go for a walk, 2 walks, and just try to recover. Do your trigger pointing, do your mobility.
For someone who, you had a good, I want to
What?
piggyback off that.
The recovery?
Yeah, if you feel sore, because when I bodybuilded at least, and I'm sure when you were powerlifting, you get sore for 3-4 days. These muscles get so sore, and it's like,
Oh my God.
you think it's a good thing when you're that sore, but in reality, your body's just so depleted. You've torn it down so much that it's taking that long to recover, and you have so much lactic acid buildup. So if you're sore to the touch, or you feel like after a workout you can like hardly move and you're like more stiff than you are fluid, I think that workout's putting you in the opposite direction than benefiting you. For someone who wants to continue training playing basketball, is it possible to integrate functional patterns and improve postural work?
That's what it's designed for.
Yeah.
It's designed for real movements. That's the best thing about functional patterns, is that every area of my life has improved once I started incorporating functional patterns movement into my training. Once I got hooked on it and I started feeling the results with functional patterns, that's when I started really, I never went back. I had never had a reason to go back. And you can build muscle on it. I've been a little bit lazy, but I'm going to show you guys you can build muscle on FP.
Oh yeah. Thank you. I'll get with you at the gym on PA Connection. Sweet, Jason. Yeah, check out the blog posts too. They ship to Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax, Oakton, Reston, Centerville, Fredericksburg, Stafford. What's up, Klaus? Good to see you, brother.
And goat milk too. Did we mention goat milk? Sheep milk.
Oh, yeah, sheep and goat milk.
If you can't do cow milk, goat milk is what I started with, and I had no problems at all. It was great. All right, so what did we miss? I think we got most of the questions so far.
What's up, guys? If you're just joining, and you got questions, feel free to ask. We're talking anything stress related, any health and fitness tips, whatever you got going on. You got questions? It could be about anything. What we do as far as what we eat, our journey to health. I mean, we've been through so much. We've tried so many different
The
diets.
sleep. So
What time do you
you
guys
gotta
sleep?
get to bed before 11.
I just started 10:30. Still struggling a bit with sleep.
I am not the guy to talk about sleep though. That is the one thing that is still my crutch. I used to be insomniatic, so I'm still working on getting consistent with getting to bed before 11 p.m. But
Yeah,
he knows more about sleep than I do.
I've been pretty religious about sleep. I mean, I'm up at 5:30, 6 a.m. Sometimes 4 a.m. It all depends, but yeah, I try to get to bed before 10 because your body regenerates the most from 10 to 2. You have liver time from 1 to 3 a.m. So if you're cutting into that time, that's even gonna impact your body's ability to recover and detoxify all these estrogenic compounds that are in your body. And if those estrogens are stuck in your body, you're gonna have so many issues. Your liver's not gonna be able to function. Goat milk, cheese, good. Yeah, Klaus, I mean, sourcing. We really focus on sourcing food. So if that goat milk cheese is straight from the farm, which I recommend going straight to the source, then yes. But again, it's all depending on where it comes from, I think. Do you guys recommend aspirin? Yeah,
Yes.
I guess it all depends too. Like sourcing aspirin is going to be important. But yeah, if you've been eating polyunsaturated fats your whole life, you've been eating chips, cookies, cakes, pastries, donuts, cereals, vegetable oil, fried food, you're eating out Mexican joints your whole life like we did. I ate out my whole life. Taco Bell, McDonald's, the list goes on. I think aspirin is a great tool to use, just like you see on our website. We have a tool section, not products. This is about tools that you can use in your journey. So again, yeah, I recommend aspirin a few times a week. Dissolve it in warm water or warm liquid. I try not to drink the sediments, but there's a bunch of great articles on raypete.com on aspirin, how it's been used for diabetes and Alzheimer's and dementia. Hey Dude talks about it on his website, heydude.me. I'll type that in the comment section here so you guys can check that out.
Aspirin gets a lot of flack. It frees up excess fatty acids in the blood, and we don't want to be relying on fatty acids as our energy source. I've noticed a ton of benefits with me by taking aspirin. I just keep it 1 to maybe 4 per day. I don't recommend starting with 4, so I'd start with 1, dissolved in orange juice, make sure there's no polyethylene glycol or propylene glycol in it. There's a lot of toxic additives using aspirin. There's a lot of propaganda from Bayer and Tylenol, which was instilled back in the 1940s and 1950s, which is still obviously being promoted today because it's cheap. It's from the willow bark. And back then, naturally, we would be getting it if we consumed meat from animals that were consuming the willow bark. There's actually a podcast, Matt talked about that.
Yep.
It's just do your research on it.
It used to be in our diet a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Tastes good, goat.
Hog in the
Yeah,
chair.
goat cheese, goat meat. I've had it all. I like goat cheese.
I love goat cheese. Some people don't like the tanginess. I think goat milk's super good too, super light, but I think it's actually a little bit more fat content to be honest, but it tastes, I don't know, it's tangy but a little bit light.
Yeah, candy. Niacinamide is just vitamin B3. And if you're under stress, like we all are, especially in a city, you're going to be deficient in B vitamins because a big mineral that leaves the body under stress is B vitamins. So, and that stress can come from 5 areas: physical, chemical, emotional, environment, nutritional, or all those areas of stress. So go read our blog post on how to outsmart stress. We talk about things that can cause a stress reaction. This question is related to posture. What is the best position to sleep in?
That's tricky because if you got a crappy bed, well, that bed's gonna push your lower back up, and we're already in a hyperextensive state, or hyperextension with our back. So it's really your bed first. Think about the bed first, and working on your posture to the point where you don't have that pull constantly, in your back like this. Because if you sleep like that, you're gonna want to sleep on your side. Then you got a whole other problem where you're compressing your shoulders in. I have a client. He's like, my shoulder is bothering me. Been like that for 40 years. I'm like, okay, what side do you sleep on? It's always your left shoulder, right? So
I think a hard surface too is
you got to start with like a harder. He's got a great setup. He's got plywood, and he's got like a 3-inch memory foam kind of topper on it, and it was incredibly comfy.
I used to sleep on a soft bed my whole life, and you just get stuck in these. You feel like there's a little curvature in the bed of you sleeping in that same position for day after day, year after year, and that just creates imbalances, I think.
Is the sleep number pretty good? I never tried the sleep number.
My parents got one.
I guess it gets pretty stiff and.
What's up, TC Nutrition? Good to see you all. Thanks for joining and listening. Do you guys use Jericare aspirin? Yeah.
Yes, Jericare.
Yeah, that's
It's got the
better
corn-
than Bayer and Monsanto, all that.
It's just got cornstarch in it. Not gonna hurt you though.
Bought a sleep number. Best thing I ever did. Nice, Klaus.
Niacinamide, I recommend 500 to as much as 3,000 milligrams. Some people, I mean, start low. Start with 500 milligrams. See how you feel. You're gonna feel incredible, and you're gonna want to take more. So no more than 3,000 milligrams, I would recommend.
I've never heard of combining taurine with niacinamide. I don't know.
Taurine, I mean, it's amino acid, obviously. So, I mean, I guess you could, but like I said, we're just focused on stress. I don't know. I don't really look at much into taurine.
Collagen protein. What is better, collagen protein versus bone broth protein versus whey?
I think collagen and bone broth, right?
Yeah, it's again sourcing, Shep. How do you source the collagen protein? Where's the animal coming from? What's the animal eating? These are the questions we have to be asking. Where is our food coming from? How is it sourced? Does the farmer know how to feed the animal properly? Is that animal stressed out? Whey protein, yeah, they could all be beneficial. I do a lot of bone broth and gelatin. I do oxtails. I do shanks in my bone broth. We do a lot of organ meats. Those are all anti-stressful amino acids. You know, bone broth and collagen and whey are. I think casein is also a great source of protein.
I know when I was into all the vegetarian vegan propaganda, they're really anti-casein. They say it's IGF-1 and cancerous. And
What's up, Rob?
Hey, Rob.
Good to see you, bro.
Yeah. Okay. So sleep number.
If you sleep on your side, put a pillow between your legs, relieve stress on your spine.
it's gonna help. I mean, I had a physical therapist tell me, sleep on your side and then tilt to the right. But that goes with context as well, because what if you twist to the left all day and you start twisting to the left for 8 hours per night? You're just going to create more imbalances. So the best, safest bet is to just get a nice
hard surface on
Hard
your.
surface.
I think on your back.
yeah.
But focusing on moving properly and doing posture throughout your day is going to be more important, so that your body is in that position, so that when you do go sleep, it's not as much of a stress on your body. But if you already have bad posture, you're doing deadlifts, you're doing all these movements that are compressing your spine, then that bed is it's just going to make that stress compound even farther down the road. That's how we got to look at it. We can't just pinpoint, oh my gosh, is this right or wrong? No, let's look at the bigger picture. That's what we try to do, is take a step back and look at the bigger picture.
Keep it simple. So
I've heard collagen protein can give you kidney stones if you overdo it.
yeah,
I've never heard of that.
I'm sure maybe that theory is based off of protein, because I remember, once again, when I was vegetarian vegan, anti-protein, you consume too much protein, you're going to get kidney stones. That's BS, because I actually got kidney stones when I was vegan. So I was not consuming that much protein. And I think I got it from the oxalates, all that excess tap water. I think that's more important. I don't really think you're going to get kidney stones from collagen protein. I can probably guarantee you that. But I'm going to look into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Creatine.
Thoughts on
Good
creatine?
question. We'll write that down real quick.
Is it necessary to gain, I'm assuming gain weight?
Yeah.
Hunter, what's good, man? Good to see you. So you want to answer the creatine?
Oh, yeah, creatine. I experimented with creatine for a long time. Monohydrate. What's the other one? I don't even use the other one. Monohydrate's the one that will gain water weight, but
Yeah.
I'd say just get it from red meat. If you don't want to get it from red meat, or you're not consuming enough to make a difference, yes, you can supplement with it. I think 5 grams would be okay. Don't worry about it too much. 3 to 5 grams a day would be good. And then take it before your workout. Or after, actually. I've heard after a workout's pretty good hydration. What's the next question?
I like eating bone marrow. I heard it has a lot of iron. Should I be concerned with iron overload?
Oh, one thing about the creatine too, just make sure that you're not getting, you gotta really look deeply into the brands, because some of these brands, they use formaldehyde for the process in creating the white powder and stuff. They use dyes. That's the one thing I don't recommend these supplements. You gotta really be careful what you buy. But creatine safe, yes.
I like eating bone marrow. I heard it has a lot of iron. Should I be concerned with the iron overload? I would be concerned if you're doing it in like a bone broth, if it's oxidizing. But if you're donating blood, you could have it with coffee as well, because coffee has been shown to reduce the iron intake.
And actually block it
Yeah.
while you're consuming it, yeah.
But I wouldn't it's going to be a heme source of iron.
Yeah.
Well, it all depends what the animal's eating too.
True.
If the animal's eating grain and polyunsaturated fats, then
I'm sure she's probably
Yeah,
she's probably getting
I know.
grass fed, right?
good sourcing. Can you overdo trigger pointing therapy and things we should make sure to do after a session? Good question.
Yeah.
Very good question, man.
So that's why we're a big fan of functional patterns, because they really instill the correctives and the posture work, and that I believe it is a 50-50 thing. This is why we start with the trigger pointing, but yes, you do need some activation work to instill good postural habits, because if you just create a hyperflaccid state from over trigger pointing, that's going to be very, very rare though. Most you guys need to not worry about that. Most you guys are extremely calcified, extremely stiff, and you just need to start trigger pointing. If you start getting to the point where you start, one of the FP trainers actually contacted me, and she mentioned that sometimes before bed when she trigger points, she actually gets cold hands and cold feet because it puts her in too much of a parasympathetic nervous system state. So, like I said, it's not always one thing, but I don't think you have to worry about it. We're all pretty stressed. We need a trigger point every day.
Yeah. And as far as things to do after, as well as before, I would do some sort of breathing technique before to help
Some active walking.
relax your body for that. Yeah, get some blood flow. Maybe, like last night, I did a magnesium chloride bath with some borax powder and some Epsom salt and some baking soda, and I did some trigger pointing after that because I was so relaxed after that bath. I just felt amazing, and I could just get so much more deep into that trigger point. And I just did one trigger point right before bed. It put me out 9 hours straight.
Wow.
I slept, didn't even wake up once.
Okay.
And
Chocolate.
chocolate, coffee, and turmeric all reduce iron absorption. Black tea as well. Nice, cool, Rob. That's awesome.
I did not know chocolate does that, or turmeric.
Yeah, I think the biggest things with the iron piece is I've seen most benefit of donating blood. When you donate blood, especially for males, we need to be doing it at least once a quarter. When you do that, you do two things. You have this recycling system called the RES, reticuloendothelial system, and it jumpstarts this system. This system is very important to regulate iron and to turn it over because you have a recycling system. You only need 1 milligram of iron in the mouth daily, as Morley Robbins says. And most people's recycling system is not recycling, so the iron's getting stuck in the tissues, in the macrophages. And when it gets stuck, you could link over 100 plus autoimmune diseases to excess iron stuck in the tissues. And for me, it was Lyme disease. And that's a huge part of Lyme disease is iron is just stuck. And with all disease, every disease, iron is in there. So donating blood has been a huge benefit because that jumpstarts that program. And it also stimulates a hormone called EPO. A lot of the bikers use it to drug themselves with to help increase red blood cells. So it's increasing your red blood cells as you donate. Red blood cells carry oxygen throughout your body, and that's going to allow oxygen to get into the tissue. So it's going to help build more energy production, in a sense.
Flaxseed oil.
Heard you talk about flaxseed oil lately. Please talk about why you don't think it's beneficial.
PUFA.
Polyunsaturated fat, yeah, it's
It oxidizes at blood temperature, so if it's a polyunsaturated fat, basically it oxidizes at what, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit?
that's our body temperature, yeah.
90, something like that. It oxidizes at our body temperature. So what does that mean?
It's going to create lipofuscin. It's going to create a stress response inside the body. These omega-3s and polyunsaturated fats break down into byproducts like acrolein. Look up acrolein. It's the stuff you get from vaping. Why do you think they had to take down all these vaping things? Because people were effing up their lungs. They were destroying their lungs because of the acrolein byproduct. And it's like aldehyde. It's like ingesting car exhaust. So you're not essentially ingesting car exhaust, but
Over time.
that polyunsaturated fat is breaking down into a car exhaust compound, aldehydes or acrolein, and that creates a stress response. And that builds up over time, day after day, year after year. All these years we've been eating polyunsaturated fats. It just builds up and it creates such a stress. Now that we're on the polyunsaturated fat thing, the excess iron and the polyunsaturated fat is what creates lipofuscin. And lipofuscin, like Matt talks a lot about, is just, for those who don't know, it's found in most disease as well.
Mm-hmm. Alzheimer's, brain-related diseases, terminal illnesses. And if you can, it's tough to talk about this stuff because there's 5,000 studies over on DHA, 5,000 studies on all this other crap, but they're all funded studies by these colleges, by these organizations. Where these organizations coming from? It's coming from the vegetable oil industry.
Yep.
It's because it's cheap. Every restaurant uses vegetables. we've been overdosing vegetable oils our entire freaking life, guys. And so why do you want to put more stress on that? Flaxseed oil, yeah, it's great, but just take some liver. I think that's a much more nutritious food.
Yeah.
Or bee pollen, stuff like that.
And I mean, it's like I saw one of this doctor on Instagram. He was saying how they're beneficial. Omega-3s are beneficial for the brain. And yeah, you'll type in Google benefits of omega-3s and you'll find page after page. But again, like Matt Blackburn talks about, it's all about search engine optimization. It's what Google wants you to see. It's what these pages want you to basically research and find out. And if you believe that, then that's what your belief system's gonna be. If that's the first thing you're gonna see.
Let's just say our experience. We used to sell DHA. We used to
Yeah.
affiliate. The company was obviously Symbiotica, and we used to take DHA before that. I never once felt one good thing on it, despite all the research I've done on it. I believed it. You think placebo would have worked? I was taking $200 a month of DHA, and I wasn't getting any results. In fact, it made me break out. It was at Gold's Gym. It was making me break out. I was like, "What? I don't ever break out. What's going on?" And it was like, "Oh, it's good for your skin." I'm like, no. That was a mess. All right. More questions.
Yeah, if y'all got any questions, feel free to ask. I'm gonna see if we.
Do we have any
missed
actually
any.
recorded down here? Because we get a lot of questions in the DMs and messages. So we're just trying to compile them all. Sorry, guys. Let's see, where are we at? I know we had a bunch of questions about niacinamide, but we keep talking about that. So, magnesium citrate, we already answered that one.
And then as far as going back to the donating blood piece, it's important for both male and female. If you're, like Morley says, if you're not to menopause yet, then twice a year is ideal. But that's just something we've always done. It's Haydut actually has an article of how it was used to heal Alzheimer's, donating blood, and a lot of these issues people are dealing with nowadays. And I'm currently using it as a source of fat calories. What's up, Groshank?
Fat calories. So, obviously, we're gonna both recommend saturated fat. I would just get MCT oil if you want fat calories, much more stable energy source, and I guess coconut oil, raw grass-fed butter. I mean, if there is raw, ghee, that'd be a lot better.
Anything that's solid at room temperature. Yeah, as far as fat, because if it's liquid at room temperature, it's going to oxidize.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to break down to those byproducts, Rob, like acrolein and aldehyde. If you look at our omega-3 and omega-6 blog post, we go into detail of how the omega industry came into existence. George and Mildred Burr, they didn't understand in 1929 that all these deficiencies people were having was actually a deficiency in B vitamins, selenium, zinc, and copper. And they didn't know about these vitamins were causing these deficiencies. They thought it was the omega-3s. But as Ray Pete talks about, he has plenty of articles on his website explaining how unsaturated fats are just, when we're deficient in essential fatty acids, we're actually very healthy. To put it short. What they say before.
Until dinner.
How often do you guys eat out? Proof of consumption.
So, honestly, since we both tried a lot of diets, we all know that I've tried way more diets and I screwed my health up way more, although, context, right? This is like the most unrestrictive diet / lifestyle. So, honestly, yeah, I'll eat out. I'll take some vitamin E with me. I'll take some digestive enzymes. It's all about mitigation. I'd say once a week max. Try to limit that even. If you're going, it's all context. If you have a lot of stress, if you're going through some illness or problems, issues in your life, I would say limit it because it's just another stress. It's really dependent on your stress.
What's up, Evan? Good to see you.
Evan.
Oh,
hey.
didn't swap that camera.
Fireplace. It's my parents' house.
I had sushi actually yesterday. That was the first time I ate out in, a few weeks.
Yep.
I've just been feeling so good on eating this food from the farm.
Yeah.
That when I go eat food
It's
that's
not
not
worth
from
it.
the farm, I'm like, why am I doing this? I just feel so good eating this food, and it's so quick and easy. That's why I recommend it to all my clients, and I recommend it to people local. It's the food ships down from a farm. It touches one person. And we don't realize how disconnected we are in today's society from our food sourcing, where it comes from. And most of the time it's toxic and it's deteriorating our health. Proof of consumption, I try to keep it below 1 to 2 grams a day. I get it in my eggs usually, as far as PUFA. Gotcha, thanks. Is it okay to eat low carb until dinner?
Low carb until dinner.
I said, what's your idea of low carb? Yeah.
I would just say try to, I mean, yeah, sure. If you want to do low carb, once again, it's context. You got to get sugar and protein with every meal. If it's a little bit of sugar, that's fine. It's not bad. Get some niacinamide to help that sugar shuttle in the cell like we talked about, but at least have some raw honey, maybe some potatoes with every meal. Just get a little bit in there. And then slowly build up, see how your body responds to it. I had to go through that process so many times. I'm an extremist, so I was one end, and then finally I found the balance. And you got to find that balance with you.
Yeah, good point on if you do eat out, take some vitamin E to negate that polyunsaturated fat.
If you're eating out, you just got to work on number one thing, avoiding the fried food. You can eat some food, but for instance, the other day I went to Sweetwater. I had some salmon. It's the most disgusting salmon I ever had because salmon's already fatty, and then they put it in vegetable oil. I'm like, this is not even delicious. Like, okay, is it even worth my time? It was $20. What a waste.
Yeah. Farm food I can binge without fear. Yeah. It's like
Exactly.
the more real food you get, the true real food, the less you need of it and the better you feel, and you're actually giving your body food that it can absorb and utilize, and it remembers what it's been missing for so many generations. Oh, this is what I'm actually trying to work on. What's your weekly schedule for body parts? Example, do you hit legs on Monday
yeah.
and then again Thursday with all the other body parts? Yeah, I don't really go by body parts. I go by...
At least not anymore.
Yeah. I used to when I was bodybuilding, but now that I focus on posture and gait cycle and throwing mechanics, I focus on my dysfunctions, my own dysfunctions, what I've been dealing with, for so many years of, I was swinging one direction with golf and baseball for year after year, so many swings one direction and so many throwing one way that screwed up my posture. So I do a lot of stuff that focuses on strengthening the other myofascial slings, as functional patterns talks
your
about.
brain.
Yeah. We're so used to using our dominant side, and we're so used to taught you got to be one-sided, but start trying to do stuff with your opposite side and watch your brain kind of turn back online too. But no, I usually do sprints 3 days a week, 3 to 5 sprints, 3 days a week, and then it's total body as far as what I'm hitting, posture, corrective exercises.
I'm doing a lot of total body now too.
Yeah.
If I were to recommend a split though, I think out of any workout regimen, even with the functional patterns, I really like to split up just with upper, lower, rest, maybe another rest, and then upper, lower, and then throw in a couple walks there every day, do your trigger pointing, do your correctives, your posture work, and then some sprints every now and then, one to 3 times a week, something like that. Make sure it's sustainable though. That's what's going to matter in the long term. I've been to a point where I'm so stressed in my life, and I was trying to maintain a 6-day body part split, and it was actually taking me backwards. So if you have to go down to a 3-day split where you're still consistent and making progress, go for that.
Yeah, and when you isolate muscles too, when you just do like a single muscle group, that disconnects you from your whole kinetic chain. You have muscles that go from head to toe. They all connect. And when you just isolate one muscle, it doesn't create an even, what's called length-tension relationship. A great book to read, again, is Anatomy Trains by Thomas Myers. Look into the work of functional patterns. Nowdy explains it very well, of when we do not connect our slings. We have so many different slings throughout the body. If you watch an athlete swing a baseball bat or throw a ball, they have these, it's like a whipping motion. They have this kinetic recoil. And isolating a muscle doesn't relate to that recoil.
Makes it worse.
Yeah.
Tightens you up in one part, and that's your limit. You're limited there. Did we miss some questions?
I don't think so. Let me see.
Low carb.
Is it okay to eat low? Yeah, we kind of answered that. I just feel better on eating carbs. Especially easy to digest.
Yeah, let's go back to the
carbs.
carb thing, because everyone talks about the keto carb, and we understand why, because you did carnivore too, right?
Yep. I did. It just
Keto.
I was
carnivore.
always like freaking out of like, how can I just get some carbs in and keep it below 50 grams? And it's like, I love carbs. When you realize what the body needs as far as like liver and your brain, and your muscles run off and they need glycogen. It's
The nervous system requires sugar,
Yeah.
guys. It's that simple. And if you don't feed it sugar, your body's going to have to go through a process that's very inflammatory and very dirty. You're going to create dirty energy, meaning through ketogenesis or what is it?
gluconeogenesis. It's a very
protein.
inflammatory process. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of waste product that's created. Not only that, not only the waste product, but once again, you're producing stress hormones. Why do you want to be there? We're already in a world where there's too much stress. We need to get with the big picture and focus on keeping a balanced diet. It's a macronutrient. God put it on this planet for a reason.
Yeah.
It's sugar, for God's sakes.
And when you look at like the ultimate superfoods like milk, like breast milk, it's got sugar. Look at the amniotic fluid and the seminal fluid. It's mostly fructose and sugar. It's what the baby's in, right? I try to look at nature. I feel like it's been hard for me to adjust to eating more carbs again. I felt good on keto, but athletic performance, wasn't the best.
Same thing with me, yeah.
I could not. I had no drive. I had no burst.
It's no power, yeah. No ATP.
You're like in it's basically you're like in overdrive, and you're like in this system that's not functioning optimally. It's like you're not a Ferrari, you're a 2000 Toyota Camry.
And don't get me wrong, I think I still have pictures where I went keto, and within 3 days, I had an 8-pack.
athlete?
I never had an 8-pack in my life. And that's great. If you want to go for body composition, sure, go for keto, go for low carb. I tried all that crap because obviously all I cared about was physique. All I cared about was body composition. That's all the entire fitness industry cares about is body composition.
But go shredded Asian lifestyle. Go slow. Start slow. You're gonna have to. Maybe if you're doing 50 grams of carbs a day, go to 75 for a week, and then maybe go up to 100, then 125. Just slow. Take it slow. And listen to your
like we
body.
said, like maybe even just a tablespoon of honey with each meal.
Yep.
That's plenty.
Yep.
Go
That's
for
it.
that.
Your
At least
body-
you're stimulating
Yeah.
the nervous system to go back in the parasympathetic nervous system, so you're not in a constant stress state. That's all you gotta do.
Another curious of mine is when working out, how hard do you guys, by hard I mean how much pressure do you put on your muscles per sets? How many sets?
Like your joints or muscles.
Well, there's so many cues that you have to go through in the exercises we do now. When you're just doing a bicep curl, I mean, you're focusing on one thing. When you're integrating a standing posture of ground tension, of engaging your inner thighs, of retracting your belly button, of keeping your breastbone up, learning how to breathe to these positions, you can get your heart rate up there from not even touching a weight. Do you think keto guys have inferior testosterone levels?
You know what?
Sherry,
I will be
you
honest.
crack me up.
My libido dropped like crazy when I went
Oh
keto.
my gosh.
It was pathetic. What was I, 24? It's
Yeah.
embarrassing. I will never go back.
I think so. I think when you keep the metabolic rate high, your testosterone, and keep stress low, your testosterone just will elevate.
Less stress, more libido,
Keep
guys.
the stress low. It all goes back to stress.
Better mood, more
We're gonna
happy.
take it slow. Thanks, guys. Yeah, that's just with our experience. I think that is the truest method of knowledge is your own experience and experiment.
But you're right. Shredded. I know. I think I keep calling you shredded Asian lifestyle, but I don't know if you're
Oh,
Asian.
Shreddis. I don't know.
Yeah, you just gotta take it slow. Get the niacinamide, like I'm telling you. That's what really boosted me up the next level. Because when I went to keto, then I went to low carb, and I started slowly introducing carbs back in. It was a wreck. It wrecked me.
Do you guys get body work? Have any local practitioners you recommend?
If you can get someone to spend, for instance, my client came to me today, and he's working with a massage therapist, and he asks me if I approve of them, and the reason why I approve of this massage therapist is because he spends about 20 to 30 minutes on his hot spots, which I tell the massage therapist to, with his elbow, deep pressure to the bone, slow. Some of these massage therapists are just moving things around, but you're not going to make long-lasting change unless you get in there deep and cause some pain. Release some pain.
Local practitioners, I would teach yourself. I'm about being self-reliant, so teaching yourself how to do body work on your own body, I think, is the most empowering thing. Because I think the best is, yes, of course, it's nice when you have someone hold a stick on you, but I think when you teach yourself, when you do it more and more and repetitive, you can get to these spots that hurt a shit ton.
If you really want
Thanks
to.
for joining, guys.
All right, so bench press.
I mean, let's say I'm doing bench press presses. I max out and do 4 sets of maxing out. Would you guys do more or less? I know everyone's. I guess my
Well,
question would be that optimal for gains.
We don't recommend powerlifting nor bodybuilding
Yeah,
anymore.
we-
So if we talk about that, I hate talking about it.
Yeah, no, we
because-
can't even go. We were in there. We were in your shoes once, so we can relate.
Let's just say this. How about you just go get the 10-week functional patterns course, start there,
Yeah.
start with their trigger points. They got good stuff. We got trigger points ourselves. They got the correctives. They got the exercises on there. You can at least start there. I have been able to change my complete workout routine until I get FP certified. So it's better than nothing. It's better than still doing the powerlifting movements, and I'm telling you guys, it's going to transfer to your life so much more.
Yeah.
And it's going to be more fun. Like, you're doing these rotational based movements.
Because you don't go around bench pressing.
Yeah, what
As a
what
human-
the hell is this crap?
As a human, and your pec is not built to do both at the same time. Your pec is actually used for throwing and actually using it as a sling
and punching.
and punching. Yes, and doing more fluid movements like running.
And I still believe you can build muscle on FP. I think it's very effective.
What's up, brother? Thanks for joining. If you guys have any questions, we got about 3-4 minutes left. Do you also eat non-optimal food sometimes when eating out? For example, it's fine line of orthorexia. Yeah.
Yeah, like
mean,
you said, number one thing, get rid of don't eat
Yeah.
any vegetable oils out. I would just avoid that completely. The rest, yeah, sure.
We were orthorexic when we were vegan and vegetarian and doing all these crazy diets, but just all we focus on now is anti-stressful foods and avoiding stress-causing foods. And anti-stressful foods are amazing. They taste good. I love it. Man, y'all make so much sense. I guess I was being resistant to change. We all are.
I've been following functional patterns for 8 years. I never dissed them at all because I always believed that it was good, but I never understood it.
Yeah.
And so one day we're doing this, I don't know,
3 years ago.
yeah, 3 years we're doing this vegan BS, intermittent fasting, 1 meal a day, and we're all this spiritual crap, and then we're just, Functional Patterns had a sale. I'm like, oh, let's get the 10-week course. Yeah, we both bought the same one, but...
Yeah.
And then we just started there, and that's what changed our life, really, with our training. It was like, I've been following this guy forever, but this 10-week course was just so good, so we really recommend that. Hot spot.
Is there too long?
Like,
Is there too
trigger
long
point?
on a hot spot? Granted, you're taking it well and relaxed. I think the longest I've gone is probably 20 minutes on a spot. But I don't know. I think you'll know when you start to feel that restriction eliminate, and you don't feel too much pain there, and it feels like a baby's muscle, nice and fluid,
Pliable.
nice and malleable. And yeah, you should be good.
If it's very stiff to touch and you can't even get more than a centimeter of pressure into the muscle without pain at least, then you need to work on that and get it to the point. A good trigger point session, for example, if you got a really stiff part here, a good trigger point session should almost leave an indentation in there.
Yeah.
And then that spot that you indented should be more fluid, more hydrated, more pliable to touch. You'll actually feel the difference. Guys, we're trying to get you back to feeling. Listen to your body. Feel these trigger points. Go deep. Keep following the videos. We're going to keep explaining this very detailed.
Yeah, trigger pointing. I think you have to look. My experience with the bodybuilding thing is, you got to look long term. What is the long term goal? Because my goal when I was bodybuilding and doing what people do in the gym nowadays, 99% of people do squats, deadlifts, benches, lunges, bicep curls, tricep pushdowns, whatever you are seeing most people do. It was just to build muscle. I wasn't thinking about how was I going to be able to walk properly at 70 or 80 or 90 or 100.
Exactly. Longevity, anti-stress.
You don't and then I looked at, okay, when I put the pieces together of, oh, the human body is meant to walk and stand, and then when I took pictures of my posture and put it side by side of a nice standing neutral posture, structurally sound, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 24 years old and I look like this.
We were so compressed in our ribcage and spine. Let's go to the water intake because we only got 1 minute left. So the water intake is a really good question because we were on 2 gallons of water per day, 1 to 1.5 gallons, whatever. And yes, it's the quality of water first. So make sure you cut out the tap water, cut out the plastics.
Quality over quantity.
Quality first, and then I would say no more than 32, maybe
To 64.
maybe 64 fluid ounces.
In the summer you probably need more because you're sweating more.
Take it with some minerals, some magnesium bicarbonate, of course. A little bit of Celtic sea salt would be pretty good, and you're going to be super hydrated. I drink about 32 ounces a day.
Magnesium
max.
bicarbonate, yeah. And we got 30 seconds, so thank you all for joining and asking questions. We appreciate it. If you have any more questions, shoot us a DM. Check out our website. We got a bunch of great blog posts you can read. Free information that's needed. So feel free to share it with anybody that could benefit from this information. Share this video. And if you guys got any questions, again, reach out, check out the website, and we'll see you on our next lives.
Thanks for joining. Hopefully this is helpful, guys.
Peace out. Thanks for tuning in.